Welcome to In the Game, Qatar's first sports podcast. My guest today, oh dear me, just come back from the UK. You've got a sports app.
I do, yeah.
And you're in this new kind of sports tech business with Aspire and with QDB.
Yeah.
Come on, Jim, by the way, please. I'm so excited. It's got a.
Steve, can I tell you, your enthusiasm it was so great for us when we saw you a couple of weeks ago. We were just blown away by how impressed you were with the app. And so yeah, we're delighted to come and talk to you, tell you a wee bit about what we're doing. As you mentioned, we're part of the Qatar Sports Tech programme, which is running out of Aspire, and supported by Supreme Committee, Qatar Development Bank, Qatar Financial Centre. So yeah, we're delighted to be here. We've had a great time in Qatar so far. We're really enjoying it.
Okay, so let's start on those people that has got this sports tech programme running. They're doing some fantastic things here in Qatar, right?
Yeah, I mean, genuinely, they've gone right around the world. They sent out a sort of brief. They wanted to find all the best sports tech startups in the world. They brought in a well-known and sort of renowned accelerator program called Startup Bootcamp. They've got a lot of experience in this area about running accelerators. And I don't know how many sports ones they've done before, but this is the first time that we've seen something on this scale with this kind of backing. So when we were approached, they sort of came to us and said, look, we want all the best sports startups in the world. We've been told about you from multiple locations, and would you like to come in the programme? So we had a look at it. There was a lot of funding attached to it, and when we saw who was involved, we were really keen to be here. So we first arrived in Qatar about January time, and they had the grand final. They did regional heats all around the world. About 450 sports tech businesses that applied. The final, there was 20 businesses there. They cut that down to 10 who made it onto the programme, and we were one of those 10. So yeah, it's been amazing, and I think the level of access that they've managed to give us to all the kind of big company here. So as we said, we're based out of Aspire, but we have access to contacts at Ooredoo and QFC and Qatar Airlines, Supreme Committee. They're really opening up the doors for us, and it's been fantastic to see how the agenda's been set from a very high level, and that they're thinking about everything very long term.
Yeah. So, I really like it, and again on some of my podcasts that I've done before, and let me tell you, I've got my glasses on today because I wanted to be kind of business-like, but it was it's business-like, and I know it's a sports podcast, but we're going to get to what you do in a minute. Sure. But it was I'll never forget the day that I met you. Mm-hmm. It was like I just couldn't believe it. It was just by pure chance. Yeah. I just managed to squeeze into one of the big meeting rooms because Dennis was doing a big presentation. Dennis Mills from MEI, and when I spoke to you, it was like, oh my God, you've managed to get it to this stage. It's like it's all a dream. It's like when you plan these things.
Yeah, it's funny because it's fantastic to see the enthusiasm that still comes through from people when you show them the app the first time. I think because I've been at it for a few years, it's it takes up so much of my headspace that the novelty of it is no longer there. I'm still as passionate about the mission and as passionate about the product as I've ever been, but I think the novelty of it and seeing that for the first time in other people when you show them it is always a big boost. And we've had a couple of other people that have said they've heard the concept before, but they've never actually seen an app like ours where it's executed and there's traction and there's people using it and there's games in it and everything's working. So yeah, we're at a pretty exciting point in the journey, I think.
I can hear everybody. They're looking up and saying, "Please stop talking. Just tell us what the app is."
Okay, so effectively, it's an app that connects sports people and games in local areas. So if you had just arrived in Doha and you wanted to find a game of football or a game of badminton or a game of basketball, you can go into our app, you can say, right, show me all the games locally this week, and it'll bring you back all the games that are available. You can then just join them, you can send them a message, you can speak to the organiser. From the other perspective, if you are somebody who runs a game or a club and you're short of players, you can go into the app and you can see all the people who are available locally and invite them along to whatever it is you're running. So effectively we connect sports and games in local areas. So it's kind of like, you know, Talabat does for food, or Uber does for cabs. It's just making it easier to deliver sport and sports people on a kind of instant basis. And then we also do all the game admin, so we track the numbers, we send out the invites, we have chat groups attached to each game, we pick the teams. We're just about to add payments, so people will be able to pay up front. They won't need cash when they turn up to a game, and we're also looking at, you know, being able to book pitches and courts and be able to reserve them online. So basically automating everything around sport and bringing the kind of user experience that today's consumer expects.
But that's a massive responsibility. I say responsibility. The Middle East, okay? Yeah. You're bringing people together on a multinational, nationality basis. Yeah. So you're bringing those people. You're breaking down barriers. They're
Absolutely.
Coming to join, and sport is the best way that I've ever seen any of that done.
Absolutely, agree.
I'm lucky that I've got my own sports. I want to be part of you.
Yeah. Well, we're happy to have that conversation.
We are going to have that conversation. I'm going to make sure of it. But the great thing about this is, I for one is that sports can have an amazing impact in somebody's life.
Absolutely.
Introducing somebody to somebody else that they possibly wouldn't have ever done it before. There's a lot of people that say on the podcast that their whole experience, their whole way that their careers happened is through pure luck. And luck, you make your own luck, you make your own opportunity.
Yeah.
But that brings me on to the next thing about you, is tell us the story. How did it get there? Why did you start this?
I'm similar to you. I absolutely love sport, and I think specifically team sport. I think there's a huge amount of value in it. I, as a child, was very shy, like painfully shy. As it happened, I was pretty good at badminton. We started playing when I was about 8 or 9, and became I was sort of Scottish champion at a young age. Had to go abroad with the Scottish national team. And went to a lot of tournaments because of that as well, and that just really brought me out my shell. And I sort of realised at a young age, actually, the winning, you always want to do as well as you can. For me, it's not about the trophy; it's about, you know, giving it everything and actually performing to the best of your ability and feeling like you've left everything out there. Don't get me wrong; I'm a terrible loser as well. I hate losing, but it's more about feeling like I've let myself down or I've not performed as well as I could. So I've always played a lot of sport. I played, you know, football, was captain of the football team at school, and played golf in a team and tennis in a team, played lots of sports. And I just always really wanted to do something in sport. I think really at the sort of at my core, it was always that everything was always about sport. We had a couple of family businesses which are still running, but I had this idea, and I just morphed over time, where I sort of started applying more and more sort of brain power to it and more resource to it, and it got to the point where it was like, right, okay, we need to really do something with this. And everybody that I spoke to was like, oh, that's a great idea. So it was a long and torturous road to get it to where we are. The initial challenge was really getting people to take you seriously when you didn't have any background in building apps or technology. Most of the agencies we spoke to just thought it was completely undoable, and they just weren't interested in doing it, weren't interested in even, you know, giving us a price for it. We found some online developers and we did it through them. That had its own set of challenges, but, you know, we got far enough that we had a product that was working, and it was basically a brochure app that we could say, look, this is the sort of this outline of what we want to do. And we joined a programme at that point called Entrepreneurial Spark. They connected us to some local developers, and that was where it really started to take off, when we had some people in the team that, you know, really were bought into the journey. And the analogy I always use is that it's, you know, like taking your car to the garage if you don't trust the mechanic. It's the same thing building an app. If you have a team of people and you don't trust what they're telling you because you think they're just trying to get more money out of you, it's not going to go anywhere. So I think for us it was about bringing the right people into the team, and at that point, you know, we decided we had to completely rebuild from scratch, raise some money, and that's kind of where it really started getting serious. So that was about 3 years ago. So we've been, you know, iteratively getting better since then. We haven't really started to scale marketing yet. We wanted to make sure the app's 100% before we start to scale that. But that's kind of where we're at now. That the product's in really good shape. It's not finished. It's not it's not perfect, but it's in pretty good shape now. So we're now just looking to scale, bring in partners, and really go and grow it. So but I don't know if that was the answer.
It's a really good answer. One of the things that I was going to take you back a little bit when you said, because this is for a sports podcast, but it's important that people in the sports industry, when they want to get into the sports background or a tech perspective, it's not easy. So when you've got this great idea that you think it's a great idea, and it's like it is, you think in your mind that it's the next best thing. Yeah. But realistically, is it? And it's like you had to go round. How many times did it take?
Developers are investors. I mean, developers, I think we probably had about 15 or 20 agencies just say no, just like weren't interested in doing it. And this is, us going and saying, right, how much would this cost? And they're like, we can't even give you a price to build that. I mean, investors, I don't know, probably, I would think close to 100 that we've spoke to, that just, I've had a couple of conversations where subsequent to, trying to get into certain investors, they just did not think what we wanted to do was possible. They said, well, you're thinking too big. I think that's one of the great things about Doha is people like a big vision, and Qataris, they like to think big and long term, whereas a lot of the investors we spoke to just said, we didn't think you would be able to build what you've built for the money that you've done it for. And we're now at the same point with marketing, where it's like we need to go scale marketing, and we haven't done it yet, but we'll work out how to do it the same as we did with building the product. We're like absolutely committed to what we do, and we'll make it happen.
How did you deal with those times that all those investors said no to you, or they didn't think it was possible? How did you get over that? How did you pick yourself back up every time?
It's really hard. I mean, I'm not going to lie. It's hard. I mean, at the time, I think when you first start, the no's, you sort of build your hopes up, and the no's become quite painful at the start. But the more you just go through it, you realise, some people don't get it, some people it's just not a fit for what they want to do. And it's just about belief for me, to be honest. It's about belief in the product and belief in the team we have, and they're not saying no because we are wrong. They're saying no because they don't understand the full picture. They don't understand some of the nuance. And one of the great things, the conversation we had yesterday, actually, the investors we're speaking to really understood that it's important we get the product right before we scale it, because if we try and scale it too early, it can kill it. So they understood that. They also understood that there's still things we need to fix, and that's a positive rather than a negative, because if everything's perfect, we haven't scaled it yet, then why? So there's lots of nuance to doing something right, and it takes time and commitment. And I think it would have been very easy for us to throw money at growth just so we could get investment, but it wouldn't have been long-term good growth. What we want is sustainable growth. I don't know if I'm getting into too sort of much the sort of technicalities of investment.
It's really good, because we're going to have so many listeners out there that's going to be really intrigued, not just from a sporting perspective, but from their starting up their own business, or they're looking into the sports industry. Yeah. And again, you've got to be really aware of what you're taking on. Yeah. So when it's people like yourself, absolutely. You've been through it, exactly what you've got to go through, and people aren't aware of that just yet. You're
100% right. I think people start up in kind of entrepreneurship's kind of hot and cool at the moment. Everybody's an entrepreneur, and everybody's want to do a startup. The reality is that it is incredibly tough, like genuinely, not just from a sort of financial and family point of view, also from a psychological point of view. You have to be really robust, because you're going to get so many no's, and you're going to get so many people telling you it's not going to work. And if you don't have, I think the thing that for me has always been, I've had no doubts about is the product and the demand for the product and the need for the product. There's always been doubts in terms of, can we deliver this? Until you've done it, you always think, can we actually deliver this? And are we the right people? Have we built the right team? So there's always doubts, but in terms of actually the product, I've got no doubts that it's going to get done, and we're, I would say now, very much at the forefront of who could do it. I think we're right up there in terms of who's going to do it. But there's never any guarantees.
So you say you've just been going for 3 years, okay?
Yeah, I mean, we had a couple of years before that where there was a couple of us and we didn't have any money and we were kind of doing our other jobs, but we were doing it not as a hobby, but it was more serious than that. But we didn't have any money, and it's pretty limited. In
okay, let's stick at that point for a moment before we go on any further. A lot of businesses are like that. They haven't got the money, the cash flows. Cash flows will ruin a business. It's like, and I keep on saying to people, if people think about getting into business, I said, hold on. If you've got a job that's paying you a salary, just work twice as hard.
Absolutely.
It's like, that's the only option that you've got. It's work twice as hard until you can show and prove to somebody
100%.
that you can kind of do this.
And it's a great point, because I think one of the things that I've sort of learned over the years is that nobody believes you. They'll stand there and say, oh yeah, it's a great idea. Nobody believes that you can do it or you will do it. And I think that's one of the things that really gets people's attention, when you actually show them what you've built, not just a plan of what you're going to build. If you actually show them something you've built, or you've gone and done something, if you've started a podcast and you've got 400 listeners or 5, whatever, actually just taking action is like 95% of people like to talk about it. 5% will maybe actually go and do something, and then there's a fraction of that will really stick at it and commit to it. So I think for me, that's one of the things I've learned, is that everybody can talk about it. The idea is 1%. I've had so many people come up to you and go, oh, I've had your idea, and I'm like, well, did you do anything about it? Because the idea's easy. Actually committing to it and going and taking action is much, much harder. And there's actually a good quote, I can't remember who it was, but somebody said to me, entrepreneurs fire the rocket and worry about the steering later. And that's 100% true. If you wait for everything to be perfect, you'll never start. Yeah. You just need to start and go, right, okay, let's do this, and then that moves the dial here, and then we move here, and it's just small incremental increases all the time. I from the time that I met you, from that time, I and this sounds a bit weird, but I kept on thinking about your concept and thinking about you as an individual, because you told me a bit about the story, and I was like, my mental power, when you told me the app that you got, I would have been probably the one that said, come back in a couple of years when you've planned it all out, when you've done all the wireframes, when you know when you press this button that goes out, because it's an immense part of it. I can't even still to this day, I can't think about all the kind of things that you've got on your app. It's actually crazy. when you first start building it, it's like a wormhole. You get down a wormhole, you think, we tell people what we do, and they kind of go, all right, cool, and they think there's maybe 10 pages in the app or something like that, because the functionality is relatively straightforward, but actually building it and delivering it to the level that people expect. I think we've probably got over 200 separate pages in our app now, but you wouldn't realise that until you start using it, because there's so many ways it can go. But the complexity of it, to make it slick and smooth and to work how people expect apps to work, it seems quite straightforward, but to make something that works like Uber or Talabat or whatever is incredibly difficult. And I'm not saying that that's our dev team that have done that. We map it out, they build it and put it together, but the actual process and the amount of time and perseverance it takes to get it right and make it slick is massive, and I don't think people appreciate that. Apps are at a high level really hard.
I think of all the things that I've had plans for, and I've bought those domains, and I'm thinking, I'm going for it, and then
you're on GoDaddy and I've spent my $10 on my domain.
I don't know how much I spent on those.
I've got a few as well, believe me. I've got plenty.
It's like, and you always have this kind of belief. When I spoke with you, it's kind of, the thing with it is this has got to a stage now where it's nearly fully operational. It is operational.
Yeah, in UK it's fully operational. Doha, we've got a test version running. We're probably going to be launching pretty soon. I think on the back of the investors, what we want to do is make sure that when we launch it here, it's supported properly with marketing, because any platform, if you don't market it properly, it'll die. So, I mean, the UK, we've got about 30,000 users. We've had about 150,000 games created on it so far. But I mean, we've done very little in terms of marketing. Really, we want to just make the product functional and operational. We're still working on a number of elements of retention and onboarding that we want to get right before we really start pushing it. But we're very close to that now.
You're one of the most humblest guys I've met. Come on, tell us about the awards that you've won.
Well, I will say that, you know, the awards are all product awards, so they're all based on, it's the development team that really get the credit for the awards. The most recent one was we won Global Innovation Award from Puma at their head office in Germany. That was quite cool because it was our chief exec, Bjorn Gulden, that chose the winner. We got to present to the exec team from Puma. And it wasn't just a startup award. It was, you know, there was companies going for IPO, and there was companies, you know, big companies there, and we were the main winners. So that was pretty cool. Probably the biggest one apart from that, we won the Sports Technology Award for Best App a year or so ago, and that was against the shortlist was ourselves, Arsenal FC, British Rowing, the New York Marathon, and the German FA. So, you know, when the shortlist was announced, we were delighted just to be included in that kind of company. And I think when we were at the awards and when the shortlist went up, I could imagine all the people were going like, who are they? You know, because most of the other people were up against at that table, and it was just me basically, my own, because it was like 450 quid a seat. So I was like, we can't afford to take a table, you know. So when they actually announced the winner, it was one of those moments where, you know, my head just about exploded. It was like, oh my God, you know, I just couldn't believe it. So I went up to get the award, and the guy that was presenting them was like taking the mick out of me, because it was just like, oh, it's just one guy and he's winning. I was just like, because most of the other awards it was like a team of people, and yeah, it was just me. So yeah, it was pretty embarrassing. But I think that was the one where we felt as if, you know, the product was in good shape. And at that point, when, you know, you've got that third party validation from people against, you know, big brands with big budgets, that was a point where I thought, right, you know, we're kind of going the right direction here. I can't even think of the other ones. We won Global Game Changers, Startup and Share. What else did we win? Those are the kind of main ones. I can't, you know, it's totally gone. KPMG Sports Tech, and there was another one which I can't.
Did you, when you first thought about this, did you ever believe that you would get to this? And I know that there's some way to go yet.
Yeah.
But did you ever believe that you would get to this stage?
Genuinely, I thought it would be much, much easier. And I think that's probably something that everybody thinks when they start a startup, is that everybody's going to be like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, and everybody will just tell all their mates, and it'll just grow like wildfire. I thought once we had the product, it would just, but that's the bit that I've found actually the nuance to how good the product needs to be is incredible. So that's the bit where we're now focused. I think initially I thought it would be a lot easier, and because I think if you knew how hard it was going to be, to be honest, I'd still have done it, but I'd probably been more realistic about the timescales and, you know, the team we need and the budgets we need. So yeah, I mean, I think my belief in the product always made me think it would happen, but I think if I ever did something like this again, it would be much more realistic about how long it would take and how hard it would be.
But you've done a lot in that time, right?
We have, but it doesn't feel like that because it's always just looking forward. I always feel like we could have done much more and we could be moving much quicker, because as soon as you hit a metric or you hit a target, you're not, my nature is that I'm not kind of sitting there going, oh wow, check us out, we've done amazing. My nature is, okay, what's next? Where do we need to be better? And it's always just an uphill journey of, you know, you're never there standing going, brilliant, we've made it, you know, until such times as we've got millions and millions of billions of pounds in the bank and like everyone's absolutely humming. We'll rest on their laurels. It's always just, okay, what's next? What can be better? And that's I think for me, that's the mindset you always have to have. You have to be a complete growth mindset where you're always trying to get better and make your team better at everything. And you've got to be committed to that.
And you know something, it's kind of these are the same similarities that you find in business people or business people that are, especially I deal with the sports industry quite a bit here. It's kind of, they want to make a difference. They want to make a difference. And the things that people say to me is the team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is the team, the stickability, the kind of that sometimes it is opportunity comes or luck comes. Yeah. It's like, but you've got to keep going. Yeah. It's like, and you've got to kind of look at it and you've got to say, listen, I judge myself on a daily basis. So I look at myself, how did my last podcast go? How did that go? What can I do? What can I improve it? I'm thinking about work when I'm going to work now. What have I got to do? What have I got to achieve? How do I get things forward? But it's all around the team.
Absolutely.
It's because without that, you haven't got anything.
Like 100%, like the team, I would say, frequently I'll be like the least smart person in the room. Like frequently, and that's a positive for me because I want to be around people who are like extremely smart, and so I can learn from them. I have the big picture in my head, but we have a lot of people in the team that do things that I could never do, and it's all about enabling everybody to be as good as they can be and let them go on with their job, so that I'm not I think you're absolutely right in the team, but also the mission. I think everybody has to be bought into where we as a collective are going and what we want to do. And if they're not, like, okay, see you later. Because one of the things we sort of talk about quite often is that you can't coach mindset. Well, you can, but you can't, not mindset, you can't coach attitude. And if people don't have the right attitude and they're, negative or they're not bought into what you're doing, it can pull the whole team down, And I think what you always want is people that really get it, that are bought into it, but are also open to constructive criticism and willing to be part of the team. But I totally agree, it's all about the team. I know you've got a background in the forces and that.
I kind of teamwork for me is everything. It's kind of, if you haven't got a team, you just can't do it all on your own. And the only reason I'm in and I'm a humble guy. I'm really proud of what we've achieved. Yeah. But we can do better.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what drew me to you was the stickability, the way that you kept on going, and the way that I think this app is going to change things on a really powerful perspective.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I do.
I think, to come back to the mission, I think that's one of the things, I've got a nice house and a nice car, and I've never been massively driven by money, to be honest. I like, nice things, but I don't need a yacht and I don't need a mansion. Really for me, I want to be able to look back in 10, 15 years when my boys are a wee bit older and say, we're proud of what we built. And I think, like, genuinely, the power of sport to make society better and to make individuals have a better life where, if you arrive in a new city or a new country or you just want to get more active, there's a really easy way to do that. And that's massively important for me. It's always been one of the main drivers, is I think the societal benefits of what we do. Everybody's more and more sitting in front of screens, and I've got 2 young boys, and I'm worried about my 4.5-year-old, how much time he wants to sit on his iPad. And if we can make technology work for us in terms of making it deliver, food really instantly, why can't we do that for sport?
Yeah.
And I think that's really, for me, I want to build a community around about sport, and that wherever you go in the world, you can feel like part of the local crew, and you can find people that have shared interests that are, potentially, you can instantly feel at home with people. Because as you said earlier, sport is a real strong connector, and it's a very natural way to meet new people and to feel like you've kind of get to the heart of people straight away.
Yeah.
Whereas, because I think, as a foreigner coming into Doha, you see all the people in the throbes, and it's quite intimidating because you kind of don't know culturally, what you're meant to say, and if you can make a joke and you're worried about offending people. And actually, I play a football game with some of these guys that I met through Aspire, that I met initially, and they had their throbes on. And when you play football with them, you know, you very quickly lose any kind of
inhibitions.
Aye, and it's just like, you know, they're just, everybody's the same, and you have a laugh and a joke, and it's just a great level of sport. You know, it's a great way to really see what people are like, and, you know, just get to know people at a really core level.
I say, just offer your hand of friendship.
Yeah.
Look them in the eyes, smile, and say, and it's like that's with anybody. It's not. I'm not just picking out Qataris as one thing. With anybody, and I find that a great leveler, and it's a great way to make somebody feel at ease.
Yeah,
and it's an absolute pleasure. Yeah. I could talk to you for hours about this, and I hopefully will, and I hope to have you back on one of the shows again.
I'd be delighted
because I do want to push it forward. But what I do want to say today, before we finish off, is that I hope you saw some things with Jim today that are inspiring, because he inspires me. I don't believe that people really grasp how sport can have a really major impact on everything, community, culture, whatever it may be. It's out there. And when you've got something like Jim's got that brings people together, it doesn't matter whether you're an athlete, a top athlete, or you're a company, okay? The principles in some terms is the same. You have to have stickability. You have to have a little bit of talent. You've got to have talent. You've got to, of course you have, but it's all about working with people around you, trying to get to the best place you can be. Try to make sure that you give it your all, and always believe that you're going to get there, because sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes you feel like giving in. Sometimes you want to go in a different direction. Don't go in that different direction. If you love what you do, just look for people that can help you get to the next level. Jim, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Great. Thanks very much.
Thanks everybody for listening to In the Game. This is a very special one today. As you can see, I've got really excited. Why? Because he's going to make a difference.